near future, which the team is already working on, but that requires assessments and trying to assess exactly how much damage there is out there. We know that there is a lot of damage. We know that there is an enormous effort by utility companies, power companies, by the Department of Transportation, by the Mississippi National Guard, by the Department of Health, by the Department of Public Safety, and so many others. But as we hopefully over the next few days, and maybe it's after Friday, Saturday, and Sunday when the weather gets bad again, we are in constant communication with what that declaration needs to say before we send it up to the President for expansion of what that looks like. By the way, this is not unusual. This happens in every storm. We work with and negotiate with the folks at FEMA who, and this is going to take a little bit longer than most because, again, the event happened Friday night through Sunday, but with the cold temperatures Sunday night and Monday, sort of the response was delayed a little bit as we were trying to get it safe for our people to respond. And so that's where we find ourselves right now, but we'll continue to have those conversations. Yes, sir.
What do you want to say to those Mississippians that we talk to? There's some in North Mississippi that say we dropped the ball, especially when they compare the roads. Because Memphis, you see some photos, the roads are clear of ice, and all 3 lanes are drivable, but in Mississippi, some are still blocked with ice.
Yeah, so obviously Mississippi got hit very hard. I would say to people all across our state, we're continuing to work to get help to the people who need it. We have personnel working literally as we speak on roads throughout Mississippi. If you look at just look at the damage. So we didn't really talk about this yesterday, but I think we should, because I hear a lot of comparisons to what's happening in Panola County and what's happening in Memphis. And I think you may have mentioned Memphis. You really don't need to compare what happened in Panola County to what happened in Memphis. Talk about what happened, the number of power outages in that area that was hit in Mississippi, in Panola and Tate and Lafayette and Tippah and Alcorn and Tishomingo counties, with those counties in Middle Tennessee right above that, because we got different levels of the storm and different levels of ice. And so, again, we continue to work to respond. We've got literally thousands of people out there working as we speak, and we will continue to do that until this particular event is behind us. And as we have been saying since last Thursday or Friday, this event is not going to be behind us in an hour or a month or a day. This is going to take a week or 2 weeks to get the power back on, to get the streets back safe, and that's just where we find ourselves given the severity of the damage. Yes, sir.
And my final question.
Okay.
With the weather also supposed to be super cold this weekend, how are y'all doing any extra precautions to help those residents up north, and what should the residents be prepared for compared from last weekend?
Yeah, so the weather is going to be bad in Mississippi this weekend in terms of temperatures. And so if you do not have power yet, and it is not expected that you're going to get power in the next day or 2 or 3, and you do not have a way in which to stay warm at night, as I mentioned earlier, we have approximately 79 warming centers open in 44 counties. The weather was better today, and so hopefully the roads are better. But if you are in a facility and you don't have either access to gas heat or fireplace, and you only have electric and you do not have power, then you really need to be thinking about planning to get to one of these warming centers where we do have supplies that have been deployed, where we have heat in these facilities, and that's what we would strongly encourage you to do. Again, we've seen from a peak of 180,000 throughout the state not having power to below 100,000. I'm hoping that number continues to go down over the next 4 to 5 hours. But there are going to be a relatively large number of homes that do not have power going into this weekend, and so try to do what you can to plan now. If you know someone that does not have power, please check on them. Please help them get to a warming center if that is an option, because we are going to see very, very frigid temperatures starting tomorrow and going through Sunday. Yes, sir.
The Department of Public Safety obviously doing yeoman's work in the field. How are they working their hours with them, perhaps having full-time staff out there? What kind of manship or problems do they have, or have they made adjustments for this conflict?
Yeah, I'm going to let Tad, who is the Colonel of the Mississippi Highway Patrol, answer this question because he's going to be able to give you specifics. But I will tell you that everyone involved in this response would probably define working full-time a little bit differently than what the average person thinks. There have been a lot of people working around the clock all across the state. But Tad, you want to speak specifically to your troopers?
Yes, sir. I can tell you what we've done. So we've utilized the state troopers along with our commercial transportation officers. We have about 40 officers out of shift right now, but mostly up north, Panola, Tate, the problem areas that you see. We have 12-hour shifts, so I have 40 officers going from 6 in the morning to 6 at night, and then I got them all night. So there'll be at least 40 officers on those highways all night tonight and for the foreseeable future, as long as the governor and MDOT lets us know that we need them. So they'll be out there. Thank you.
Thank you, Colonel, and thanks to everyone for joining today. We sincerely appreciate y'all covering these press conferences. It is incredibly important that we get information out to our fellow citizens. We continue to pray for Mississippi, and we ask that you do the same. Thank y'all, and God bless.
Well, that was Governor Tate Reeves concluding a press conference here in just the last couple of minutes down in the Jackson area. Governor Reeves confirming a number of things during the course of that press conference over the last 30 minutes or so. And I need to apologize for those of us on our 24-hour stream. For whatever reason, I still had the video up with the rolling weather stuff for part of that. So I apologize there. So I will kind of bring you back into here to some of the information that was given over the course of that. First off, the statewide official death toll at 14 at this point here. And as the governor said, life safety remains the top priority at this point. 4 deaths, though, have been reported today. I have heard word that potentially that number could go up, but I'm going to wait until official channels go with that there. MEMA has received reports from 223 homes and 10 businesses and 7 farms damaged. We do know that those numbers will absolutely go up related to this here. There are 79 warning centers open in 44 different counties. 5 shelters are open in 4 counties. MDOT continues to successfully clear the issues on I-55, I-22, I-69, 269, and 302, as well as US 72 and US 61 with this. The National Guard has been deployed to many locations, again, across the northern part of the state. 150 soldiers have been added to bring the total to 650 soldiers that are assisting the response efforts, in particular Alcorn, Lafayette, Panola, Tippah counties. Of course, other locations will continue to be added to that there. Generators have been sourced, and one of the things the governor and the folks at MEMA in particular talked about was that they have made specific requests to the federal government for generators, specific types of generators, to make sure that they have them sized appropriately and so that they know the burn rate of fuel so they can be refueled in appropriate time frame there. The Mississippi Department of Health, one of the things that I learned on this, the Mississippi Department of Health, if they cannot appropriately size a generator for, say, assisted living facility where you have residents that cannot necessarily move as effectively, or nursing facility, that the Mississippi Department of Health will come in and help to transport and move those folks. And so they have a number of groups that are up and doing that sort of thing. Mentions 3 ambulances and 6 personnel in Yalobusha County, and 2 ambulances and 4 personnel in Tippah County to help provide those services here. Again, as of latest update, the number of Mississippians without power hovering around 100,000. I think the governor mentioned it's dropped to just below 100,000. I think about 98,000 Mississippians without power. Of course, local power cooperatives continue to work very hard to restore the power in many locations. And there are a lot of other volunteer organizations like 8 Days of Hope, he mentions, Americans Purse, among others. We'll talk to a member of 8 Days of Hope coming up here during our 5 o'clock broadcast about their outreach in the Lafayette County area. We do know a number of you, again, still waiting on what feels like the first touch from the Mississippi National Guard and other entities there. The governor says that they are making their way in, It's just unfortunately a matter of time. And with temperatures dropping again this weekend, we expect to have additional issues related to that. Again, coming up at 5 o'clock, we'll be talking in more detail with folks at 8 Days Hope. We'll be looking at how cold that temperature is for the weekend forecast and breaking that all down for you. But for now, I'm Chief Meteorologist Matt Lopp on for Mississippi Live Weather. We'll see you here in about 20 minutes. That's when our next live broadcast is. Live broadcast also at 6 p.m. and 10 p.m. this evening in the Room to Room Weather Center. So keep it here for the latest